Hello, fellow Southern Cameroonians. I'm delighted to come back to you. I bring you Calvary greetings. I'm delighted to come back to you in spite of the fact that in several quarters we are beginning to think that there is so much trouble in the house. I know the events of the past few days have set a lot of minds into total confusion. Let me say that this is yet another very, very decisive moment in this struggle for total freedom. We're going to have a lot of these moments. We have already seen quite a number of them. And too often, some of us are quick to say the struggle has ended whenever these kind of moments rear their heads. Why am I talking about confusion and all whatnot? Because we have seen on social media a lot of accusations and counter accusations. We have heard a lot of audios, good ones and bad ones. We have also been able to watch a lot of videos, those that are inspiring, others that are very controversial. My dear brothers and sisters, what we are seeking is independence, is self-determination. What we are seeking is total freedom after several decades of subjugation. This means it won't be easy at all. A lot of us have read late Nelson Mandela's Hard Walk to Freedom. Yes, the walk to freedom is always a hard one. There will be moments where even those you look up to, that these are the people whom I know will be ready to die for us, would disappoint you. There will be moments when those that you say, these people are the worst people, there's nothing that can ever come out of them, they will embarrass you by doing right. This means we should generally not be so quick to judge. Let us concentrate on doing what exactly would be right in our own normal reasoning to advance this struggle. I know that some will say these days would have been the best days because we would have been seeing total synergy of all the liberation movements, of all the organizations, of all the heads that make up the people of the Southern Cameroons. Rather, there have been voices that sounded so discordant. I know that there are some audios out there which have made waves because there are things that have been said in them which were not actually intended for the public, but intended for internal arena. We have seen people, even in parliament building, fight and exchange blows. And all that because they want to secure the good. They want to secure the progress of their countries. We of Southern Cameroons should be free to even go as far as, punching each other at some kind of moments when it comes to ensuring that only the right thing will be done. But all the same, these things are things that happen within the house. Yeah, there are moments where we have people who are excited to record such episodes to send out there, thinking that they actually want to destroy the personalities of those involved, or, to bring down one party or the other. I think, and sincerely so, that all those things simply betray the passion that each and every one of us has for the freedom of homeland. I'd like to point out here that it is true, all of us, everyone expected that this fourth conclave would be a conclave of a lot of synergy. But let us not get discouraged that it's not been that 100% synergy as we might have expected. Perhaps God has decided it, that all our eggs would definitely not be in one basket. We have seen liberation movements. We have seen revolutions where it was a matter of synergy that brought victory. And we've also seen others where it really necessarily wasn't total synergy. Not everything follows the same pattern. Let me take us down the lane of history, just very briefly. For those of us who had the opportunity to read European history, yeah, because that is what we did more in school, far more than knowing our own history. We read the events that led to the German unification and those that led to Italian unification. They all had the same objective, but they used different routes. With the case of Germany, it was total synergy behind Otto von Bismarck when he came in and brought up von Roon and von Moltke. And they decided that the issue of German reunification was not going to be determined by the speeches and resolutions of the majorities, but by blood and iron. They took that route. It was a united front. And of course, they were able to thrash all the enemies before them and even had the luxury to declare German reunification in the House of Mirrors in Versailles in Paris, having crushed France. But over in Italy, it was a different story. You had several little movements, but a number of them stood out. And each and every one of them did what they did, but with the main focus being bringing Italy together as a country and making it a powerful and interesting one, the Italy we see today. We had Count Camillo Cavo, who did all he could to bring in Sardinia with his forces. We had Garibaldi, who put together 1,000 red shirts and was fighting from his own angle and coming. And we had Mazzini, Giuseppe Mazzini, the journalist, and he became known as Mazzini, the noisemaker, who also fought it using, his mouth and all other things to ensure that Italy was liberated. So in both cases, they were liberated. So what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say, because we have not succeeded in bringing everybody finally under the same umbrella, it doesn't mean we are defeated. It does not mean we have failed, because we cannot fail. We will win. So we must continue in one way or the other to bring in our all into this revolution, to make sure that we attain the final objective. I know that some could be looking at me and saying, perhaps there are some sour moments about this fourth conclave that could stay indelible in the minds of some people and bring bitterness. Bitterness should not be part of this game. There are moments your ideas can prevail. There are other moments your ideas will not prevail. What I think, sincerely, is it is a healthy process that we have engaged in. The process of making sure that each and every voice will be heard from one side or the other. The philosophies are different. There are some who believe that it will be blood and iron that will secure the freedom of the people of Southern Cameroon. There are those who believe that it will be diplomacy and diplomacy alone. There are others that consider that it will be a combination of both. But let me say that it will be a combination of both, because those who will think that it's only war, they will try whatever they can. But I personally believe that if we continue to contribute in whatever way to ensure that we avoid whatever would lead to so much bloodshed and so much bitterness, it will be the best thing to go for. This means that all Southern Cameroonians will continue to be involved in this struggle for the freedom of our people. But the one thing we must not do is we must not fall into that trap of separating ourselves in two huge camps, like I begin to see it. We have one camp which says we are restorationists, and there is another which says we are federalists. In one video, I pointed out very clearly to all of us that the government of La République du Cameroon was going to set out there to sponsor a lot of people to strengthen the federalist option. Not because this government is interested in a federal system of government, but just to have that as an opportunity to water down and destroy our struggle. Look at the newspapers right now. The narrative is already clear. The newspapers will begin to report now more and more, but on the division that exists in our ranks between the federalists and those who are determined that it has to be self-determination. Let us all be very clear what we want. Do we want to reenact what happened in 1961, but which was never respected, or we want total freedom for our people. If Yaoundé really felt that federalism could be a good thing, would they have let it rotten right to the point where we have deaths in hundreds? Why not maybe in thousands before they start getting people out to talk about this? And mind you, Yaoundé itself is not yet talking federalism. They will never talk it. Those who may have access and those who still call themselves our elites, the senior slaves in Yaoundé have had access to the report that Minister of Justice Laurent Esso wrote when he returned from Belgium. That report is very eloquent. He says he decided clearly that while he was out, he noticed a certain trend, that there was some growing feeling among some who still feel about federalism, but the majority were talking about total self-determination, and that it will be important for the government to pump in a lot of resources to bring about federalists to destroy us. I'm not going to call any names, but what I'm trying to point out here simply is to draw our attention to the inherent danger that this kind of division will bring to us. Let us not allow distraction to derail our struggle. Let us not allow stupid bickerings on social media, accusations and counter-accusations here and there to destroy our struggle. Because I know that even as the fourth conclave ends, there's going to be a huge media war among those who feel that it was right for Concave to transform itself into a government and those who believe that it was wrong. Those accusations and counter-accusations shall weaken us and make it difficult for us to get to where we are going to. Let each group do their thing without having to attack the other. All we need is to get to Boya. I pray that we forget the ugly moments that we saw during this come together. I was also personally hurt. It's true. But what is going to remain in my mind will not be the fact that I ran away from La République du Cameroun from guns, AK-47s being pointed at me by Paul Biya, and I also met AK-47s again pointing at me even within this movement. That is not what is going to stay more in my mind. I wouldn't really look at that as something. I will look at it as just a little ugly passage, and we must concentrate on the bigger picture. Fellow Southern Cameroonians and Bazonians, this is the time that we must continue to show the enemy by our determination that even in the midst of discordant and dissonant voices, we will remain strong, because no one alone holds the key to liberating us. Let us continue to fight. Let us continue to remain focused. Let us refuse to jump into this deviation, into this kind of digression that La République du Cameroun wants to set us into. God is with us.